All right, Fred, are you in now? Thought I let him in.
He's there.
Okay.
I'm here, Scott.
Oh, there you are. Okay. All right, Mr. McKnight, would you like to open up with an invocation, please?
Sure, let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity again to meet. We thank you for the possibilities that are before us, and we ask that you would give us wisdom tonight. We pray for the upcoming storm that's supposed to join us tomorrow, and we pray for safety for our employees and for our citizens as they travel. And we ask for your protection for all those who are going to be on the front lines of removing snow and keeping the roads safe. And thank you for our first responders, our police. We pray for their protection and for our fire company and fire police. Heavenly Father, these are gifts that you've given us, and we thank you, Lord, that you've enabled us to work together to do good for our community and the region around our community. So we ask again that you be with us tonight and bless our time together in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right, let's try the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and
justice for all.
All right, roll call.
Mr. Crouch.
Here.
Mrs. Deal. Mr. Erickson. Mr. Sinkovitz. Mr. Darius. And Mr. Penner.
Here. Everybody else is here. I think their mics are just muted.
Yeah, I can see them, so.
All right. So to get things started, we have guests from representatives from ShipDaddy, their legal counsel and their engineers to answer any questions that we might have. We also have some members of the Planning Commission here as well. I think the hope is to take up action on an occupancy permit tonight. So let's open up the floor for questions for these guys. How about actually, why don't you introduce yourselves to everybody? Maybe start with Joe.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Joe Spizak. I'm one of the co-owners and CEO of ShipDaddy.
Nice to meet you, Joe.
Nice to meet you guys too.
And Joe, your legal counsel is Steve, right? I saw Steve at one point.
Yep. Yeah, and then Steve Tiley is here. He is our attorney. And then also Justin Doty is here. He works with a company called FSA, which is helping us with some civil engineering.
Okay, very good. So real brief, why don't you give us some background to your business, what you're looking to do here, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Yeah, sure thing. So ShipDaddy is an e-commerce fulfillment company. So e-commerce, you can think online marketplaces. You can just take a retail store, make that virtual, and they sell items directly to consumers via online shopping. We hold those items in our facilities. The orders come in, we pick and pack those orders, put them into boxes, slap a shipping label on them, and send it to e-commerce store owners and customers. So that's the nature of our business. What we are looking to do is move into the old ribbon mill in Newville. We want to bring our company from Carlisle, Pennsylvania, over to Newville. We want to occupy the 40,000 square feet, the west end of the building, and operate out of there. And yeah, we're happy to answer any questions that anybody else may have.
Okay, folks, fire away.
Steve, I think Steve Tiley's trying to say something. Steve, I think you're on mute.
You're on mute, Steve.
Sorry, I am
There you go.
technologically challenged.
You're all set now.
Okay, thank you. Joe, what percentage of your business is fulfillment? Well,
Sure. So roughly right now, about 75% of our business is fulfillment, and then the other 25% would be like custom apparel printing. So we do, we print on, anything from hoodies to t-shirts to robes. And then we also do some light assembly there. So like basic staging and kitting, you could call it, of some of the things that we ship out.
and do you have any relationship to the GoDaddy firm that you see on TV?
No, so we get that question a lot. So we're not a franchisee location of GoDaddy.com, which does like web hosting and things of that nature. We're ShipDaddy. We're our own separate entity, unrelated to that company.
And you are owned by local folks?
Yeah, so 3 of our owners are Boiling Springs graduates, and then the other 2 of our co-owners I used to work with at AT&T in my former life.
I guess that is about as brief as a description of the business as we can give, but we're happy to answer more questions. There's a 40,400 square foot addition on the west end that you mentioned. What's one of the reasons that is attractive to you?
Well, it's attractive to us because the previous tenants set up racking, which we plan on moving into and using that exact racking in the location. So it truly is move-in ready for our needs.
And what about the 20,250 square feet on the east end?
Yep, and then the same thing on the other side of the building. It's fully racked out, so our operations can move in and start working there literally the same day.
What about the center of the building? Do you have any plans for that yet?
Well, the center portion of the building has always been kind of the question mark, just because of the state of the actual center part of the building. It's not nearly, well, that was the original part of the building as we understand it. And it just, it's going to need some fixing up basically before, we could make a sound business decision on it, I guess you could say.
Excuse me. Come back next week. I'm on a meeting.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I apologize, folks. Yep. That's a brief tour of ShipDaddy and its desires for the building. Justin, do you want to speak for a moment about the sketch plan and what we have and where we are?
Sure thing. Hi, Justin Doty, Frederick Seibert and Associates. We have an office in downtown Carlisle, and we helped these guys get a better sense of the property and understand what the building, how the building fits on the parcel, what kind of availability there is for parking spaces and so forth. And rather than a typical site plan, which you're accustomed to seeing, this particular plan simply shows the existing building. It shows the 40,000 square feet that they intend to occupy right away. And then it shows a conceptual parking layout to indicate that there's plenty of parking available for their immediate needs and for growth in the future. Right now, they only have about a dozen employees. And as they grow, of course, they'll be able to continue to expand and occupy the parking spaces available. So I'm kind of going under the assumption that everyone has a plan or access to a plan this evening. If you don't, I suppose we can figure out a way to allow me to share my screen and I can put the plan on the screen. But if you don't have the plan, you might not be able to see what I'm talking about. So
We have access to it.
okay, perfect, great. So what we had shown on this plan is a proposed truck route. This was one of the bigger items of concern for the borough, and rightfully so. The truck route, no matter what you do to get to this facility, you have to go past existing residential properties. Ship Daddy and Joe will talk a little bit more about the frequency of trucks and how they intend to mitigate that. And right now, I just want to go over the route that we intend to use. So based on some conversations with Fred and staff, it was determined that Broad Street was the likely access for a tractor trailer making a visit to the site. And that tractor trailer would continue to it would pass Pennsylvania Avenue, and I'll get back to that in a second, take a right on a very broad right onto Hirsch Street, which was designed to receive tractor trailer movements when the ribbon mill was in place, and would continue down Hirsch Street where it would reach the Pennsylvania Avenue intersection again and back into the docks that exist at the facility at that location. The tractor trailers would then have the opportunity to exit Pennsylvania Avenue, and the reason that that is a more appropriate movement is because as they make the left back on a Broad Street and they drag that trailer, that turn is a larger radius turn, and so they're able to make that more easily than the right-hand turn that would be required to come down Pennsylvania Avenue. So we wanted to work, and I speak for Joe and his crew on this point, they wanted to work closely with the borough to make sure to limit the impact as much as possible. The majority of these guys' trips that they expect to the site are in box trucks, mail trucks, UPS, DHL, and every once in a while, on a frequency that Steve and Joe have put into the agreement, they expect tractor trailer deliveries for bulk items. So if you have any questions about the site itself, how it might function with this particular use, be happy to answer any of those. Otherwise, I'll turn it back over to Steve.
How many tractor trailers would be going to that site? And how often?
Well,
And who
maybe
keeps
if I may.
the numbers?
Up to 8 per
Those numbers shared with the borough council, borough officials.
We've entered into or offered to enter into an agreement with the borough, which says that we would not, this permit would be conditioned upon no more than 8 tractor trailers per week on a monthly average coming to the site. We do not expect to hit
How do
that
you get
right
the
away.
number 8? What is the basis for number 8 and instead of number 5 or number 4 or number 6? Is this a projection?
Sure. The
Projection, why not start with a more realistic number and then say we have the potential to go to 8?
the pyramid Mervyn Mill user was running about 4 tractor trailers per week. And Ship Daddy is anticipating to be close to that right away, but they are growing extremely fast. And so it would not be practical to limit them to today's usage, because the whole purpose of this is to give them room to expand. Right now, they're turning away business because they do not have the space. So we need to give them some room to expand within the number of tractor trailer trips as well.
Why not come back to the council and say that we have met the minimum of 4 or whatever it is, and that we need growth based on what's Ship Daddy doing? Is that a difficult thing?
There's a timing problem for that. They need to be able to have some room for growth that they can go through that process, so that when they get the 6 per week, let's say, then they would make that application. But that doesn't happen overnight. And the way their business is growing, they would be severely constrained potentially just by the couple of months that could take.
This is an average per week, correct? Not a strict number. They cannot exceed 8 per week. It could be perhaps 9 one week and 3 the next. But am I understanding that correct?
Yes, that provision, which is subparagraph A, beginning at the bottom of the first page of the proposed agreement, indicates that it's a monthly average of no more than 8 per week, so that they can manage their deliveries, which again, as Joe said, the tractor trailer deliveries are a relatively small aspect of their deliveries. It is usually, I'm not sure if I remember if Joe said this or not, but what it usually is the first inventory setup for a new customer will come in multiple pallets in a tractor trailer. And then as the individual orders are picked and shipped, replenishment more frequently comes from smaller box trucks. Joe's shaking his head, yes. So
Yeah, that's correct.
So are you saying most of the traffic would be small?
yes.
Is that
Go
correct?
ahead, Joe.
Yeah, so pretty much exactly what Steve said. So the majority of the truck traffic coming in will be reserved for new customers that we bring on. So once we have them in and they give us their first, large set of inventory that comes in from bigger trucks, with 90% of our customers, instead of replenishing with another truck, they replenish through United States Postal Service, UPS, DHL, e-commerce, FedEx, all of your big carriers. And then an important point to note is 100% of our outbound traffic is through those same carriers. So we break down those pallets into small parcels. So here's one of our customers right here. It's a game. You can see it's 5 by 5 by 3. So maybe pallets of this may come in, but then we're breaking this down to an individual box and then sending that out through the United States Postal Service, FedEx, those carriers that I just named, to the end customer. So everything will be going out through normal mail.
So it's a redistribution center.
Yeah, you could think of it like that, a redistribution center. Yeah, it's just sometimes redistribution gets tossed in with freight and people redistributing freight and using big trucks and stuff like that. If you want to get technical, it is an e-commerce fulfillment center. But yes, similar premise to what they're doing.
My understanding, Joe, too, is that the tractor trailers that do come in are typically not full. They're not full tractor trailers. You're probably only taking a few pallets out of each tractor trailer, but it's obviously more than what you could fit into, UPS and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, that's exactly correct. And that is maybe a good segue into freight aggregation and how we can control and quality control a lot of the truck traffic is whenever you only have one of your customers, let's say 5 pallets, 10 pallets, it's obviously not going to fill up a whole truck. So, what we have the ability to do on our end is combine multiple customers into one truckload, so we can better assure the quality of everything coming in and limit the truck traffic on our end to a reasonable degree.
But having said that, we do need room to grow. That's the whole purpose of moving to the borough of Newville and this site. And we, really, I don't know that we have a legal obligation to limit it to 8 per week, but we certainly want to work with the borough in every way possible, and we want to make this work for the borough and for Chip Daddy.
Steve, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you tell me what's changed in the past week that requires a move from 4 to 8? As of last Monday, we had an agreement, or had on paper an agreement for 4 trucks on average. And I wasn't in the meetings, but there are people here that were, and they said that that was fine, and you were comfortable with that. Something must have changed in the past week, and I'd like to know what that is.
I don't know if it was exactly a week, but my sense of time isn't always accurate.
It's a week and a day.
The original agreement was drafted based upon Pyramid Ribbon Mill's usage.
Right.
And the reality is what I just said a minute ago. We realized that we needed room to grow. And that even though they're not consuming or using 4 tractor trailers right now, they could very soon and could exceed that very soon. Let me just sort of back up to make the point. Joe, what's the square footage space that you're looking at right now, or where you are right now?
I'd have to check, but it's like 6,000 to 10,000 square feet, maybe like 8,000 square feet.
And you're purchasing a building with about 140,000 square feet?
Correct.
Of which you plan to first use the 40,000 and then the 20,000 newer portions. Is that right?
Correct.
I know it's very difficult to estimate, but do you know, or do you have any idea how long it might take you to fill up that 40,000 square feet?
That's really tough to estimate. I mean, it could be a long while. Hopefully we can do it faster and keep growing really fast, but I mean, it's really tough to estimate.
All right.
I mean, if you want me to put a date on it, I could try. I mean, but
I'm not going to hold you to that. But it's possible that that could be filled within a year.
yeah, it's possible for sure.
And so that's the kind of growth they're experiencing.
Right. But I'm still not clear if a week ago you were fine with 4, what's changed? Have you just done a reanalysis of how fast the business is going to grow, and now you think you need 8? I mean, the original agreement has a provision for growth, that you can come back to us and ask to move if a business grows faster than you expect. So why isn't that an adequate solution? I mean, let me just be clear. I think this is a great idea. I think this is a great business. I'd like to see it here. But we have to balance, bringing businesses into town, which we really need to do and want to do, with protecting our residents. Doubling the tractor trailer load from what it's been over the last many years is a big move. And if we move to the 8, it makes it harder for us to manage this growth slowly. So that's why I'm trying to understand why originally, a week ago, you were comfortable with 4 and a provision that would allow you to come back to us to expand. And now you feel like you need 8 now, even though you're not sure how fast you're going to grow.
Right, but it just simply gets to that timing problem. Going through the process of land development or land use can easily take a couple of months.
Right. Wasn't that factored into your thinking when you agreed originally to the 4 trucks? I mean, it's not like this is a new topic or anything. I mean, every discussion that we've had at the Planning Commission and with the Borough Council and among ourselves, this has been a key issue. How many trucks?
Right.
So we thought we had reached an agreement, and other people who've been involved in this can speak to it, as late as a week ago, because we got this revised agreement on Tuesday last week, with no explanation, by the way, of why it was being put forth, and I still haven't gotten one. It was okay then, but now what's changed? Do you think your business is going to grow very fast? If you do, then we probably should keep it at 4, because we want to have something to say about the management of this.
Justin, I think Justin wants to say something.
Yeah, if I could just step in, I was at the Planning Commission meeting, and I think Mr. Erickson, I think you were there as well, right? Am I remembering that right? Okay. And it was my recollection that we'd started with 4. And the idea was, because I think Joe and those guys experience 1 or 2 tractor trailer loads now on a weekly basis. Is that right, Joe? You're not getting 4 now. 4 was even a bit of a growth factor for these guys. But during the course of the Planning Commission meeting, we said, well, what does this look like? And we said, if you're getting 1 tractor trailer a day in the middle of the day, and no one's around, and it's not conflicting with people's access to work and so forth, is that fundamentally different than getting 4 a week? You know what I'm saying? 8 a week versus 4 a week. And the idea was to put a ceiling on the expectation of trips to allow these guys to have reasonable growth, right, in a way that wouldn't necessarily impact neighbors. 1 tractor trailer a day when they're not home probably isn't going to cause alarm. It would be multiple tractor trailers in a day, I think, is when you would start to get that alarm. And so that's why my recollection was at the Planning Commission meeting, everyone on that meeting was kind of thinking along the same lines, like, well, I think 8's a reasonable ceiling as opposed to 4. Let's give these guys some room to grow before they have to come back and go through this process again. That was my recollection. So
yeah, I'm not sure about your last statement there, that everybody thought it was reasonable. I think part of the problem, and let me just say, I was at the Planning Commission meeting and I voted to approve this. But since then, I've started to think about it. We didn't have time to think about this. I don't think adequate time was, it was a bad process. We didn't have time to think about this. We had no information from anyone about why this was necessary. I make the assumption, therefore, that it must be essential to the deal, because you were fine with 4 the day before, and now something has changed somehow. I wasn't told what that was, but because we didn't have time to think this through carefully, the press of your year-end, deadline to get this moved, some of us voted, we all voted for it. But in retrospect, I think that the agreement that we originally had is a good one. And I haven't heard anything that changes my mind about that. I mean, you are talking about having a truck or 2 a day come through there. Right now, as Mr. Tiley said, the original agreement works off of the agreement or the traffic that was experienced by the ribbon factory. And that seemed to be a reasonable place to start. And that was all agreed to by everyone. But there's also a provision in there that allows for expansion. So I guess I'm just not sure why that's necessary at this point.
May I say something? I think that when we're talking about a difference of 4 trucks versus 8 trucks, we're not gonna, they've already stated that they're not sure that even 4 trucks at this point is likely, but they want to have it in there that they have the 8 trucks so that when they do grow, they don't have to come back to us, every other month. And we know how long it takes for a decision to get made. I think they want that to be in there so that when they do have that growth, which I certainly hope that they're going to have, they're ready to have that growth. And I think, Mr. Erickson, as I told you earlier when you talked to me about this, I stated I grew up on that end of town and it was a dress factory out there. And we had tractor trailer trucks in there every single day in that same location. Nobody complained about it. Nobody, was upset because there were tractor trailers. And these gentlemen have already said that most of it is going to be box trucks. So I don't see what the issue is, whether we have in an agreement of 4 trucks or 8 trucks. I think we should be glad that they want to bring their business to our town and help our town instead of sitting here arguing whether we have 4 trucks or 8 trucks. That's my feelings.
I don't have a vote in most of these issues unless it's a tie, but I do have opinions. For multiple years, that ribbon factory sat empty. Doing Newville no real good, not employing anyone. And from my perspective, these gentlemen are doing us a favor, making the decision to come here. And in the end, they will be employing local people. And here we are, not all of us, but here we are attempting to throw roadblocks in the way of a group of gentlemen who are actually doing this community a favor. I agree with Joey.
I think that's fine. I just want to make clear, Randy, that I'm not trying to throw any roadblocks. I'm trying to find a balance between protecting people who live on those streets. We're going to be subject to a lot more traffic, and tractor trailers are different than box trucks. They have a much bigger impact, bigger noise, bigger impact on the roads. As I've said, I do want to see them here. But I thought we had an agreement that everybody could work with. So that's my concern. And I guess I voiced it, and I'll let others speak and see if they have concerns as well.
I don't believe from listening to their presentation that these guys are just going to say, oh, goody, we can bring in 8 trucks now. I think what they were asking for is the flexibility. So they don't have to come back and go through what they're going through right now again.
My understanding, Joe, is that you just bought a house in Newville. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I actually close on it tomorrow with my girlfriend. So we're moving to Parsonage Street. So you're going to have a vested interest in those tractor trailers that are coming in through town. Now they're not going to go past your house, but Well, yeah, they're gonna. No,
I guess my point was, you're going to be a Newvillian here shortly. So
I don't know, Scott. I live on Parsons Street, and I've had several trucks go past my house this year.
True. So
awesome. We're gonna be neighbors, Mike. And if I can just say anything to reassure anybody, there are still a couple of question marks in our growth, and that's something that no matter how many numbers we crunched, we're not going to be able to put an exact number on it. The reason we wanted to increase the truck traffic line was because we didn't want it to be a slap in the face to anybody if one week we had we had 5 trucks one week and then it looks like we weren't following our word. Like you said, Joey, we wanted something to grow into that was reasonable, where we weren't going to have to come back to you guys, a couple months from now and have to go through this process again, and that slow down any growth in our business may have. I mean, personally, I think, well, first of all, Jack, I totally understand where you're coming from, and I really respect what you have to say. And although there still are a couple of question marks, I just want you to know that, we are looking to be good neighbors, and we're not going to jump anybody here and be rolling in with, 100 trucks a month or something like that. So, I mean, I'm really comfortable with where our business is at with the 8 trucks on average a week. But, you know, again, we want to be good neighbors and hear what everybody has to say.
Right now, Joe, you are not using freight aggregation currently. Do I understand that correctly? So right now, your volume is probably, it may not change. There's the potential that the volume of number of trucks may not change too much as you grow, at least for a good while. If you begin using aggregation services, I looked at some videos from some other meetings and so forth that I missed, and so I was just wanting to clarify if I make sure I'm understanding that correct.
Yeah, no, and that's 100% correct. So we haven't been big enough up to this point to even consider something like a freight aggregation service or attempting to do it ourselves. So this truck traffic we have right now is a completely unoptimized raw truck traffic. Hey, you need to bring something? Yeah, come on, bring it in. You know, it's zero scheduling involved. Meaning that as we grow, there's 100 other things that we can do to, you know, mitigate this truck traffic.
We're all in favor of growth and business and job opportunities. There's no doubt about that. So, I mean, we welcome businesses to Newville. The questions that are being raised here are within that positive spirit, not within any negative spirit. I was wondering who's going to keep track of the number of tractor trailers? How are we going to know whether you're bringing in 4 or 5 or 6?
We put you in charge of that, Bob.
Right, we're gonna have trucking police.
That's a good question, and it got brought up at the last meeting too. And so we'll keep a log of all trucks that come into us. And anytime that you guys would want to see that traffic, I mean, shoot us an email or something like that, and it would take us, you know, 5 minutes to compile that and send it back your way. So anytime you guys want an in-depth view without having Bob have to sit out there with his headlight and his ticker, we can just send that over your way.
As I think I said at the Planning Commission meeting, the ultimate review is the neighbors, because if we have too many trucks, you're going to hear from a neighbor, and then you're going to want to look at that logbook, and then you're going to want to keep track maybe. But my guess is if it's a problem, which I do not expect it would be, but if it's a problem, then a neighbor will be on their front porch keeping track.
Are we allowed to look at the books? That's your private information. I mean, what are we saying?
Well, this is how I understand it. So how we kind of left it at the last meeting was if someone wanted to request the information, we would just send that to the council or whoever was requesting that information to show them. I mean, obviously, I don't want to be, you know, parading all of our numbers around Newville, but if someone wants to see it from your guys' perspective, I mean, I don't have any problem in showing you guys that. I mean, it's full transparency on our end.
And how about you're projecting the growth and use of larger 18-wheelers, whatever, and how about projection of job creation? What is, I mean, I'd be interested to see jobs created here. What is, how many people you think you would hire locally, and how would it impact our community in terms of growth for job opportunities? After all, we had a shoe factory at one time. We had the ribbon mill, and they hired a lot of people, and but now neither one of them exist. What is your projection for job growth?
That's another really good question. So it kind of comes back to what Steve was asking, if you could see us filling up that 40,000 square feet. within the next year and stuff of that nature. It's tough to put an exact number on it. And here's another reason it's tough to predict the exact amount of jobs we can create. So how we got into fulfillment was through creating e-commerce brands, through creating the actual products that we were selling online. Here is one of our newest creations. It's a trivia game that we sell now that we created. It costs, or it's not cost, it takes a lot less manpower to sell something like this online that we created. You know, we could have a team of 3 people sell this game, no problem, versus signing people on the fulfillment and the operations end of the spectrum, actually picking and packing and putting the games into boxes and shipping them out. It takes a lot more manpower to do the operations standpoint. So we're seeing growth in different areas of our company that require different amounts of manpower. But I can tell you that over the course of the next year, I fully anticipate having to hire 15 to 20 people. 15 to 20 people pretty much over the course of the year. And I think that's conservative. I hope to be able to hire many more, but I'll also tell you that we're fully planning on looking to the Newville community to help us run ShipDaddy. In fact, Scott Bailey, the former plant manager, we are planning on talking to his son to see if he wants to come work with us too. So, I mean, we're already looking to the Newville community to see who wants to kind of join our ShipDaddy mission and jump on board.
That sounds wonderful. Would you be competing with the distribution centers and the jobs and the pays that they're providing to the local people, or what?
Well, we'll knock, I mean, I'm a little biased, but we'll knock their offering out of the park. So I'm not sure if you heard, but our company we have 13 people right now, and 9 of them are local people that are, you know, my childhood best friends from Boiling Springs and our surrounding community. We are trying to change the warehousing landscape, although I wouldn't even like to call us warehousing. We're e-commerce fulfillment, and we're a technology company, really. And we're not doing the whole, you know, hourly rate, 100% employee turnover a year BS. We are we're paying people really well. We're giving people really great benefits, and we want to create a work environment that people love. You know, we want people to stay after and work out at our facility. We want people to be walking on the rail trail at our facility. We want to have my mom come in and cook us dinners, and we all do fun stuff at the warehouse. We're not looking to, it's a lot different than what you think of with your typical Amazon distribution center or distribution center. We want this to be careers for people, not just $12 an hour jobs.
Sounds exciting.
It is. It's an exciting opportunity. It's a unique opportunity for Cumberland County because it's not just an Amazon warehouse, but it's a bunch of local people in a high-tech, high-growth industry. And I'm thrilled that even those that have some questions on the details are welcoming of it, because I think that is the appropriate response. We're not Silicon Valley. It's not every time you get some guys who are all of a sudden developing a business with exponential growth potential. And they want to bring that to the borough of Newville. It's a perfect fit for them. As Joe and I have discussed in the past, it's a perfect fit for them also because of employee opportunities in the borough of Newville. I will share that before this property, they looked at a property on the West Shore, and the ability to acquire employees or get the employees there was not what it would be here. But there are other opportunities out there for space. This is the best fit for them, and we think it's the best fit for you.
Steve, if if there would be issues that arise in the neighborhood because of the business, would the borough be able to come back to you and discuss those things and brainstorm about coming up with alternatives to meet those problems?
Absolutely. You've heard Joe speak here. Joe is a new young entrepreneur, not of the same ilk as maybe people of my generation.
Well, now, wait a minute. I think I'm in your generation.
Well, I wasn't going to necessarily impose that on you. But these guys have a high interest in values in many ways. But they're also just plain smart business people. Treating your people right, as Joe has said, keeps the turnover down. And that's smart.
That's exciting. That's exciting. May I ask a question, please? How about profit sharing? Is that something you're going to consider for people that are going to be working for you, with you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny you asked that because we're actually opening up equity. We're still figuring out. Actually, Steve, we'll talk about this soon since you'll be the one helping us do this. But we're actually opening up a equity pool in our company that we're figuring out how we can basically give everybody skin in the game, and everybody who's been with us up until this point will own shares in the company. So, I mean, we are really putting our money where our mouth is, and we want everybody to have skin in the game with Ship Daddy, because ultimately, yeah, I mean, like I said, this has been our family and friends building this up into this point. We want everybody to be involved with it. So yeah, it's even more than profit sharing. We want people to have a slice of the pie.
Are those shares available for purchase by people of Newville as well, or what?
So not at this time. But
I was going to
wouldn't
say,
count that out.
I'd take a share of that.
Well, I mean, we still have a lot of work to do. I mean, I've been living out of my mom's basement for the last 8 months now, so it's not exactly worth a crazy amount, but we hope it will be one day.
You should go public. You could probably make a lot more money that way.
Yeah.
There's no talk of going public right now.
Not yet.
Not yet. But
Will there be high traffic on Parsonage Street by any chance? I live there too.
I'm sorry.
What was that?
Any higher levels of traffic by the drivers that are coming to your place through Parsonage Street?
No, I don't anticipate it.
Man, I don't know where the box trucks come and go from, but they may come to Ship Daddy after dropping something off on Parsonage Street or an area close to it, and they may leave and then pick up something in that area. That's the box trucks, which tend to meander. Tractor trailers tend to be more of a destination. I'm talking like I know something about shipping, and I don't pretend to.
And just to clarify, for those who are not familiar with transportation terminology, Mr. Tiley's using the term box trucks. The more accurate term that you all would understand is package trucks. It's the same trucks that are delivering packages to your house that are then going to their docks and picking up the packages that they're shipping. So it's not a box truck in the sense of a rider truck or that sort of thing. It's the package trucks that are going through the neighborhoods doing deliveries that you see.
That's like FedEx, I suppose.
Yes.
Exactly.
Any other questions before we let these guys?
Just one for Joe. Boiling Springs, Joe?
Yeah, that's correct.
Wrestler?
Yeah, that's right.
Good wrestler?
I was all right.
No, you were very good, and you were very good at the collegiate level. I knew it took me half the meeting to go way back in my memory banks and figure out where I had heard your name before. And I'll say this to anyone: if you want to pick one sport that teaches a person to have an excellent work ethic for the rest of your life, it's wrestling.
Hmm.
And you did well.
I really appreciate it. We actually had, before we ran out of space in here, we had a wrestling mat in here, and we would wrestle 3 times a week. We have a lot of wrestlers on staff. We plan on dragging the mats up to the new spot and scrapping up.
You're going to instruct, because I have 2 grandsons that wrestle for Cedar Cliff, and I'll bring them up if you do that.
We actually do want to work something out. That's probably a different conversation, but yeah, we're very interested in doing something like that. So, yeah.
Well, Joe, you
Good.
could use that middle section of the building that needs to be remodeled and you know, a lot of work done. You could use that as your wrestling arena.
There you go. We got to bring you on to help.
Hey, I would do that.
Mayor, I did hear Joe make the statement that he is a bulldog now, so.
Right. That's right.
That's right.
Now, he might live in Bulldog country, but he's always going to be a bubbler.
That's right.
I don't know, Joe, you might get into trouble here.
Yeah. My lawyer's advice is to keep your mouth shut.
You okay? Muted.
I'm curious, since you come from Boiling Springs, what do you see the future of Newville? Another Boiling Springs or what? What's?
Well, he's trying to make his contribution to it anyway.
Yeah.
Probably the toughest question of the night.
Yeah.
You know, I see the future of Newville being brighter than ever. I think this is perfect for us. I think this is exactly what we're looking for. I mean, what I love so much about Boiling Springs, I mean, my family's really, really tied into the community. My mom just retired after 35 years of teaching at Boiling Springs. She was a 5th grade teacher, and then she worked on the administrative staff for the school. And what I love so much about the Newville area is you guys have that same close-knit community. I told Scott Bailey whenever we were at the new warehouse with him the other day that my mom told me that both of my great grandmas were seamstresses at the ribbon mill in Newville. So, you know, we have deep ties that run in Newville. And I think it's almost poetic that Ship Daddy, fingers crossed, is coming into town, because I feel like it's going to be amazing for you guys and amazing for us. And it's the family that we've experienced in Boiling Springs. We're hoping that we're going to become that in Newville with you all. So I think we're really, really excited. And I'm just really thankful that we can be a part of a community like that we've had in Boiling Springs, which has been so amazing to us. Geez, I'm going to start tearing up here. I better mute.
You see another Boiling Springs here in 10 years? 20 years?
I want Newville to be Newville.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, Boiling Springs is great, but I think Newville is great too. I mean, yeah, I mean, they're both great towns. I just hope that we can make it a little better.
Great.
And I think that's really the point. If Newville is going to improve economically and otherwise, with the kinds of people that you want to attract, such as Joe Spizak and his crowd, you need to accommodate the business.
Right.
And I know that you know that, and you've all said it, but it does get down to the details that it's going to take some tractor trailers to do it.
Right.
It's going to take some good restaurants, being able to get a glass of wine and bringing in tourists and what have you. And jobs, of course.
Right. You need people to be able to buy the wine and the beer.
And have
Oh,
a good
that's another issue later tonight.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Anything else for these guys? We're on 8 o'clock now, so.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you guys for coming in. We'll take this up a little later under new business, and hopefully we can communicate to you later. Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
You're
thank
more
you.
than welcome to stay
Awesome.
and join us, but if there's, if you want to hop on the wrestling mat, go for it.
That was a good presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. And it was really nice meeting everybody. I look forward to being your guys' neighbor on Parsonage. So I'll talk to everyone soon.
Very good. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Welcome.
Night,
All
guys.
right. Moving into the consent agenda, meeting minutes, they were emailed to you from November 24th, the regular meeting, and the December 1st work session were also emailed to you. Any questions on those minutes? All right, approval of bills. These are in your packets. Galbraith Pre-Design, $7,601. Edmund Fuels, $404.22. Irwin McKnight PC, $1,207.50. Irwin McKnight PC, $275. Sailor's Market, $94.11. Riley Outdoor Decor, $45.80. Martin & Martin Incorporated, $110. B. Moyer Communication, $1,378. Sailor's Market, $47.14. PA Code Alliance, $1,795. PA State Mayors Association, $66. Curb Tech, $42.39. The Higher Information Group for copier surcharges, $390.20. News Chronicle, $638, and Salesman Hughes for $135. Total general fund bills is $14,229.36. There are no highway aid bills. Any questions about those? All right, the financial report, all these numbers are ending November 30th, 2020. General fund checking, $13,807.74. Rental fund, $426.54. Street lighting account, $367.49. Fire tax account, $55,236.68. Expense accounts, general expense, $1,113.69. Newville area events, $5,131.40. Highway aid, $13,196.59. Payroll checking, $1,284.78. The pension funds, the police pension plan has $348,671.39 in it. For the non-uniform pension plan, for $457,054.49. The Borough Joint Veteran Council account, $946.63. The Capital Improvement Fund, $1,467.25. And the Tax Anticipation Loan Fund, $989.71. Any questions about those? All right, in your packets and emailed to you, you have all of the department head reports. You have except for the fire chief report, you have the police chief, the mayor, zoning and code enforcement officer reports, street superintendent, chief operators, chief plants operator report, the field operations report. The EDA documents were also emailed to you, and the planning commission documents were emailed to you as well. Any questions on those? All right, looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Been moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Down to verbal report. Police chief, you're on, chief.
Okay. November police report. Total calls for service for the month was 200, which is down a fair bit from last month. We've had a lot of vacation that needed to be used up, and we've also had one officer out on COVID quarantine and currently on a second COVID quarantine. So that's been hurting our numbers are down for that reason. Traffic enforcement for the month, 58 citations, 13 warnings issued. Parking violations, 4 for the month. Patrol vehicle mileage, 1,752 miles. Warrants outstanding, 39. Any questions on that? Just a couple other things quickly. We did our Shop with the Red and Blue event on Sunday. We were able to do 22 children, I believe 9 different families with those 22 children. Went pretty well. Had to be altered. From our normal year, we really couldn't have the big event, so we dropped packages off and meals and all the same things to the households instead of having the event. The calendar fund for the year, I think the mayor updated you last month on that. I think the number might be a little bit bigger than last month, but we finished up at the 2021 calendar fund. We took in $2,560 for the calendar for the year, which was, I think, a little bit more than last year. So that went well. And we have the toy thing coming up on Saturday, weather permitting. We have probably 2 or 3 pickup loads of toys to get out on Saturday if the weather permits.
Hey, any questions for the chief?
I have one question. How is Locke, the dog? How's he doing? How's the expenses for the dog going?
He's doing really well. Like he has from the beginning. We haven't had any issues. He's had a couple incidents that we had found some narcotics on a traffic accident on East Main Street maybe about a month ago that he assisted with. We helped Shippensburg University. It's probably been back 2 months ago with capturing a suspect that stole a vehicle. So he's had a couple good things going on with him over the last couple months. No expenses lately that I can think of. We're going to have to pay for training shortly for 2021. I think that's somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,500 for the year. And I think we're at about $1,900 in the account. So we have enough to cover that at this point. We haven't really had an opportunity to do any fundraising for the dog, but that's something that we'll need to address here as soon as the climate changes here with the COVID. But there's nothing coming up that we're in a pinch for as far as that goes.
Thanks, Todd.
You're welcome.
Very good. Anything else?
The toy distribution, is that Saturday? Is it deconflicted with the coats distribution for the kids?
It's all the same event, yes.
Same event, same place, same time?
Well, the coats, I think, is going to be in the Zion Lutheran Church parking lot.
Mhm.
I don't think that's moving throughout town.
No.
But we're having the procession there with Santa Claus with the Kiwanis that the toys are going to be associated with. So I think there's 11 stops throughout town, and we're spending 10 or 15 minutes at each stop. That we have plenty of toys, and I need them out of the station. So I hope that goes through.
That's wonderful.
All right. Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor. You're on mute, buddy.
All right. The financial report for the month of November, traffic fines, 1512.58, non-traffic 134.86, $20 in parking fines, total 1667.14. Last month we had one of our best months ever, but as I had said, we're probably going to, over a period of time, see a decrease as long as the COVID number, if they stay at the same rate we've been adding them now. We are making an effort to limit the officer's contact with the public unless it's absolutely necessary. That, as the chief said, we have an officer out on in quarantine right now. Another member of his family tested positive. So we're hoping that quarantine period should soon be up, hopefully within the next couple of days. But we're just doing everything we can to limit the possibility of this happening again. Further down the list, the police department checking account, $8,839.47, and that reflects the successful calendar fund campaign we had. The K-9 account, $1343.35. That was at the end of November, but I believe there's been money added to that in the month of December. Usable balance on the department's debit card, $560.21, and $201 in the auxiliary police account. And that ends that report. I do have a couple of questions on other issues. One, the status of the additions or updates to the police pension ordinance. We actually are almost a year behind, according to the police contract on that. The officers have been really understanding of the board's position, especially when it came to the money for uniforms and equipment. They didn't press those issues because they understood. The pension ordinance thing, however, doesn't involve any real expenditures of money. And they're starting to ask me why it hasn't been completed yet and why we don't have a police pension committee. Under the contract, that was due last January. And I would request an update as to where are we on that? Where
It's in my hands. I was sending it back to the expert to look at. Again, I didn't realize there was an urgency to it. So we'll make that a priority and get that thing passed as soon as we can in January.
Okay. And then the second, I need an update also, Marcus, on the letters that hopefully went out to Kim Heckendorn and Chad Bachman over the rental issues.
Oh, you're talking about the property rental units.
No, the
loss of their licenses.
Yes. Those letters gone out.
As far as I know, they've not gone out yet. So I'll make that a priority and get those things out.
Is there a reason why?
It's just the crush of business right now.
Okay. All right, that ends my report. That ends my questions. Thank you.
Any questions for the mayor?
The police are mission essential, correct? So they should get priority in vaccinations. Is that correct? Or am I misreading that?
I don't if that question was for me, Bob,
Yes.
repeat, because I don't understand the question.
Well, I mean, the Pfizer vaccine is being distributed. Our police should be considered part of on the front line in receiving the vaccines.
No, that would be my opinion also, but I'm not in charge of making that decision.
I just wondered how that works. I don't know whether you had heard anything about it or whether they had.
No, sir, I have not.
Thank you, sir.
It's something every state government's going to make a decision about, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the state has it leveled. I haven't looked to see where law enforcement falls, if they're 1A or 1. I would imagine they're probably 1B, which is kind of where the education system is. All nurses and hospitals, nursing homes, they're 1A, so they're expected to be done by the end of January, beginning of February, and then 1B would fall in after that.
Right.
That's my understanding. All right, moving on. You have a emergency management coordinator report in your packet. Fred, do you want to take time to talk about the impending storm here at this point? You're muted.
We can just combine everything. It's getting kind of late. Right now, DPW staffing is tomorrow midday we'll start plowing. We're going to work through the evening. We have staffing overnight. 2 men will be on 10 p.m. till 5 a.m. We have another crew coming back out on Thursday, starting at 5 a.m. and working till 6. We'll be working 10 and 12-hour days. On Friday, Mayor and Chief, we could really use 2 patrol cars on Main Street and High Street. We would like to go in and move snow, and we have a payloader lined up and trucks for that. So if we could have 2 police cars, that would be great. We have contractors participating: Blue Mountain Excavating, Gerald Warner Trucking, Weaver Excavating from Southampton Township is providing a payloader this year. Should make things go a lot quicker. We will be dumping at the Newville Little League Park and the Newville Trailhead, the Vine Street lot, and at the maintenance building as you go up the front driveway. And again, our coordinator, Mr. Barrick, he and I discussed everything today. This is an emergency situation. The mayor has declared a state of emergency that has been transmitted to our county commissioners and county EOC staff and all the local TV stations. We will be using National Incident Management Command. Bob Barrick will have command. Dave Hanshew will be in charge of operations. Lindsay Williamson will be taking care of public information. Chief Kozier will handle traffic control and the removal of vehicles. And that concludes the report.
Any questions for Fred? All right, thank you. Borough Solicitor's report. Item number 1, review and discuss the adoption of proposed ordinance 2020-09. This is the ordinance in confirmation with the 2021 budget, enacting the real estate general purpose property tax, lighting tax, fire tax, and enacting certain Act 511 taxes and setting forth the commission rates for the elected tax collector. Anything to add to that, Marcus?
No, it's been properly advertised and it's ready for adoption.
Looking for a motion.
So moved.
So moved
Second.
and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Number 2, review and discuss proposed resolution 2020-08. This resolution of the Newville Borough Council, Cumberland County, Pennsylvania, confirming the adoption of a ballot question for the 2021 municipal primary election.
We've reduced this down to 1 question, and that is, do you favor the granting of liquor licenses for the sale of liquor in the borough of Newville, Cumberland County, Pennsylvania, yes or no?
Why?
The idea is, if we want the broadest possible usage, if you want your beer and wine in restaurants, this is the way to go.
So you're right. The one that, okay, go ahead, Bob.
Jack, go ahead.
Yeah. So that one talks about liquor sales.
Mhm.
What is liquor defined as? I don't see it defined here anywhere. I guess my concern is liquor going to translate, or is it going to translate in people's minds as hard liquor, gin, scotch, blah, people might not find appropriate. And if so, do we want to consider a different question?
I think part of the issue is that there is no particular question out there or combination of questions that meets what we want it to do. And that this is really about the only way to do it. For somebody to get a license to sell hard liquor in Newville, they're going to spend $500,000 for that license. And that is managed through the county. The county gets, well, it's managed through the state, but the county gets so many per population. Additionally, if we have multiple ballot questions, you have to have multiple petitions as well. And that can be, to me, that would be just as confusing as one simple question.
No, I agree with that. I think it should be one question. What about the question that says, do you favor the granting of brewery licenses for the sale of malt or brewed beverages by the case, by the keg, and by the glass for consumption on premises, plus the sale of wine and spirits by the glass for consumption on the premises in Newville? That's on page 4, 3 from the bottom. I mean, that gets at all of the things we want. Doesn't mention liquor, but it gets us, beer, wine. It does say spirits, and I'm not sure what the definition of that is either.
Do I recall correctly, Marcus, that the difficulty here is that the questions are prescribed by code, so in order to get what the broadest, include everything we wanted, this kind of was the only question that really suited the purpose?
It's the one that gave us the broadest coverage.
Yeah, and the question I'm raising is it too broad to pass? And is this other one perhaps better? Because as I understand it, there is a concern about the sale of liquor. Is that going to be sufficient to scare some people off? And does this other one that I'm talking about get at the same things without mentioning liquor, if that matters? Marcus, what do you think?
I'm having a bad night in terms of rendering opinions. So I'm going to say to you, I've given you the information. You make the call. You've got to have a separate petition, and the people carrying the petition have to understand what the question is all about. I think basically you're going to have issues with some people over any change in the borough of Newville. So it's all about whether or not the borough council can get behind a particular question and whether or not you wholeheartedly think it's for the best interest of the community. Perhaps the size of Newville protects against some usages that people would not believe in. I can't believe that there are some uses that would be profitable in a place like Newville, but who knows?
Yeah.
At least, hey, Marcus.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of going with Jack there. I just think it's kind of vague. My concern is how many permits are going to be allowed, how many people are going to be able to serve alcohol, and also I'm just not in favor of it at all, but I know this is something that's supposed to help the borough to grow with restaurants and things, but I just don't think it's defined enough to how many permits and how many people are going to be allowed to serve and what's going to be allowed to serve. And I just think it's cloudy.
None of the questions would address that.
No.
We don't even get to what's available until we get a question passed that would enable things to be available. So if we want to get something on the ballot, we have to agree on what the question would be. And unfortunately, we can't make up our own about liquor because the Liquor Control Board and the code so strictly regulates the questions you can put on the ballot.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think we need to make the decision tonight, because if we don't, I think we're going to miss the boat on this. And I'm just, I just don't know. Again, I'm sort of wondering. And this is, I mean, in a sense, it's a legal question, but in a sense, it's a tactical question. So anybody could address it, which is, are we better off with the one that mentions liquor, or are we better off with one that seems to do the same thing without mentioning that?
I guess I thought we'd had that discussion at a previous meeting. So this was kind of the question I was expecting to see.
Which one?
The one that's here.
Yeah, I thought I was instructed by council to put this question in the resolution, and if I again misunderstood, you can correct me.
I agree. And Jack, to kind of answer your question, I believe the word liquor defines any alcoholic drink. Spirits would be defined as distilled alcohol. So, this is the broader question in the mix.
Right.
I think,
I mean, if liquor is a more general, that was kind of my question too, is if liquor is not a hot button word, then it probably does make sense to go with what Marcus is suggesting. I was just looking for something, and I mean, there's a lot of definitions in here. The only other possible one I saw that might work would be that. But if, my concern was about the definition of liquor. So if it's generally considered to be a general term, then we can probably go with that one.
And Lindsay in the chat just put a link to what the liquor code defines as liquor. Item number 2 says liquor is defined as any alcoholic, spirituous, vinous, fermented, or other alcoholic beverage in combination of liquor or combination of liquors, mixed liquor, part of which basically it's what I was saying. It covers it all. So, wine is fermented, beer is fermented.
Okay.
That would be how I would read that.
All right. Well, with that reading, then it probably doesn't make a difference, or that definition that we're talking about probably is the best one.
Again, to make this work, council's going to have to embrace it. If half the council thinks it's a bad idea, or you don't want to see the town go from dry to wet, then now's a good time to speak up.
My personal opinion is prohibition ended 80 years ago. That's just my personal opinion. So
I second that. Yeah. It's time to go wet.
Well, we've had discussions about this.
Go wet's too vague.
Yeah. I mean, we've had discussions about this, and I think everybody's view, as far as I understand it, is that we simply want, wine and beer to be available in restaurants. We want restaurants to come to town, and to do that, they need to be able to sell some form of alcoholic beverage. That's where they make their money, and they won't otherwise, unless it's a fast food operation.
I understand what you're saying, Jack. And at some point, though, I feel like we might be micromanaging what could possibly be. And, I think of the Mason-Dixon distillery in Gettysburg. Phenomenal facility, has a great food, but they make make spirits, and it really is no different than walking into the Molly Pitcher in my mind. They, you know, the type of business that they run, and it's, you know, it's not, you know, it's not a bar. It's a, you know, it's a business, and you know, if people want to frequent that, then my opinion is we should let people frequent that. So, and it's a great opportunity for Newville, and you know, I don't like the idea of, you know, stifling their creativity, because they're smarter than I am with that stuff. So,
Right. I think we're agreeing, aren't we?
no, I think so.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Now that we've agreed, can we move?
Yeah.
Anybody can move it.
I make the motion to move it.
All right, it's been moved to approve resolution 2020-08. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
And seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no.
No,
Any abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on to review and discuss proposed resolution 2020-09, a resolution of the Newville Borough Council, Cumberland County, Pennsylvania, approving revisions to the Newville Borough Police Policy and Procedure Manual as required by the Presidential Executive Order number 13929. That those changes are in your packet. Chief, do you want to? Oh, Chief disappeared, I think. Those changes are in your packet. I think they're identified as reds and yellows, and some things need to wait. The suggestions need to wait, but I believe, Mr. Mayor, I believe the things that are required, we already have them in, correct?
Well, I think, well, there's the chief. He can answer it better.
There he is.
I struggle sometimes. Yes, the things that are required, which I think from off the top of my head, there was only about 3 of those.
Yes.
They were already in our policy and procedure manual. The rest of the items were voluntary, and there was probably about 10 of those. And I think there's probably 6 or 7 of those already in our policy and procedure manual.
And you're looking for the items that are highlighted in red, you're looking to ratify that into the next month, correct? The use of force policy.
Correct. That was all reflected in the use of force policy.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else to add?
No.
Okay. Any questions? All right, waiting on you. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Anything else, Fred, with Borough Manager report? Okay. Mr. Crouch, COG.
I missed the last meeting, was unable to attend, so I'll defer to Marcus on anything to report from there.
Nothing too remarkable. They have, however, canceled the meeting canceled the meeting for this month, and we're going to keep the officers as has been elected this past year under the guise that the COVID emergency permits. We can't permit more than 10 people to meet, and we have much more than 10 members who'll be meeting. So until we can meet again, and we're not meeting virtually yet because not all townships have that capacity. So, so the point is, we're going to stay with the same leadership until the emergency order is lifted.
Okay, any questions? Mr. Darius, Public Safety.
Uh, I asked our office manager here that works with me, to contact the police department and also the fire department and see if they would, that we are open to any suggestions, any recommendations, any ideas that they would have or anything they would want to express to the council, that they could send me an email and I could share that with the council. I haven't heard anything yet. Safety, of course, is going to be pretty important, I suppose, particularly tomorrow and the day after, with a good bit of snow coming in, but that's all under control very well by the people in the borough. And I have, other than those, I have nothing to add at this stage. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Darius? All right, economic development, Mr. Erickson.
Thanks, Scott. So tomorrow is the next EDA meeting. There hasn't been one since our last meeting. I sent you all the materials for it, and including the agenda. So you can look at the agenda to kind of see what the topics are. But let me just walk quickly through some highlights. The project manager's report. He's going to discuss a number of things. One is a potential library collaboration. This was an idea that Fred had about giving the library an outlet for the excessive donations of books that they've been getting, and at the same time, perhaps being able to open a small retail operation in town to sell those books and maybe make some money. So that's going to be something that Chris brings up with the EDA tomorrow to get their thoughts on that. Fred, do you want to say anything about that? Should I take that as a no? Okay.
Bob, I made a recommendation, and Lori Howland, who's the chairperson of the Friends of the John Graham Library, they need some space and they would like to have a retail area that they could sell their books, because they are unable to sell due to the closing of events like the Fountain Festival. So I suggested you, Bob, and I suggested Jeff Bowder. And I thought the consignment store that you had down on Main Street, which was done over really well inside, could maybe be transformed into a little bookstore. So in the spirit of the holidays, Bob, I'm appealing to you to have a good heart. And if the library calls you to do everything you can to help facilitate and give them a place to operate from. And I know you will.
We're in touch. I even offered to pay part of the rent for a storage area. They need heat, and that's one of the issues. The other one is that I was thinking, in the spirit of since my wife had the consignment shop there, that I thought perhaps that that I may reconsider opening that for 1 or 2 days a week. So it's a matter of scheduling and working with them and making sure that they have heat during the winter time. Perhaps we could have a section for them in the new consignment shop, or the old consignment shop reopened for them, so they could have the books in one area and they could sell it and make some money with it. We're exploring the various options available to do this. And I don't know
Thank you, Bob.
Oh, you're most welcome. And I'm glad that you mentioned my name. I don't know. I can't speak for Mr. Bowder, see what the response has been by him to assist them. But I would be willing to fund, if nothing works, to pay for part of the cost of having the books in a storage facility for now, until perhaps the winter is over, and then see what we can do. But there are various ways of doing this to sell the books and make a little bit of money for it. And I think it's a great idea.
Thank you, Bob.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so moving on, Chris is also going to talk about funding opportunities, give an update to the EDA. He's focusing right now on the redevelopment authority. There's a new executive director there. She and Fred and I have talked about this. She has a strong focus on blight and providing funding to do something about blight. Chris is going to get in touch with them to talk about the possibility of some money to acquire and rehabilitate housing, either to put it on the make it available to developers, or for talk about they have a home fund that where the money is available for updating and repairing properties. And the thought was maybe we could acquire some of those for infill purposes. He's also going to talk about the 501(c) situation. Once we have that, we'll be able to apply for state tax credits, which banks and businesses can use for their contributions, and that might help prompt some contributions from them. Let's see, what else? I was also going to talk to the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency. They're having a funding round this fall. And again, to try to find some funding from them to acquire and demolish and maybe develop some housing for first-time home buyers. So that's kind of the focus tomorrow for the EDA on funding. He'll do a legal report. Again, we're waiting for the 501(c)(3) approval so that we can approach some foundations and independent donors for funding. Marcus, do we have any new information about where that stands?
No, we're still trying to get through to them.
Okay. Yeah, well, as soon as that's finalized, that gives us another opportunity or another avenue to approach for funding. There'll be a report about on the advisory committee. Joey has assumed the leadership of that. We had a conversation, I think, a week ago with Andrea, who's the president of the EDA, and made that handoff. We're in the process right now of building members. We've got about half of them on board. We've drafted a mission statement for them, which will be presented to the EDA board. And then we're hoping that we're going to have a first meeting of that committee next month. Joey, is there anything you want to add to that?
No, not at this time, but is it possible for me to be at this meeting tomorrow also? Because we're closing our office at 1 o'clock tomorrow, so I'm actually be available.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
We had talked about it.
I'll forward you the invitation.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I was hoping you'd be able to do that, and I'm glad we had this little fortuity.
Right.
Moving on, the Prospect Hosting Committee, there'll be a report on what's going on there. Jason Malott has taken over the chair of that, and he's working really hard. There's a lot of activity there. If you look at the materials I gave you on the minutes of the last meeting, there's a lot of action items. He's also put together an aggressive timeline for the actions of the Prospect Hosting Committee, which right now we're getting out a consumer survey on what people want in town, and we're doing promotion and business outreach to make people aware of that. If you look at the timeline, you can see some of the things that are being done there. We're reaching out to CADIC to get help to publicize the survey and also to do some publicity for the EDA overall. There'll be a public relations and community communications report, which I will give. The trifold is finished. You have it in your packets there. It's in black and white, so you can't really see it, but it's a good product. It's had a lot of comment on it. I think we're going to get, Chris wants to get 500 hard copies of it made. It'll be put on the website as soon as the website is up and running. The business recruitment guide is very close. There's a late version of that in your package. And we have a plan for distributing that to key sources. We've developed a list. It's part of what Jason's list shows you. And that will be on the website too, once that gets up and running. EDA letterhead's being developed. The website is in the process of being built right now. Tessa's working on that. It will be a tab on the borough's website, not a freestanding website. And she thinks we can have a working model of it by the end of December. So that kind of positioned us well to have the website up and running early in January. As I mentioned, we're putting together a media campaign to promote the survey that Jason's getting out, and also the EDA generally. We're working with Cadix public relations director to do some media coverage and get some stories out. So there'll be more public knowledge of what the EDA is doing. On strategic planning, there'll be a review of the draft of the strategic plan that I mentioned last month, and an implementation discussion. So the members of the EDA are going to start talking about how to leverage the assets we have. I mean, this is the kind of getting down to the nuts and bolts stuff, how to address the risks that we face and the downsides, how to do something about those, how to take advantage of our assets. All of this is in, based on our analysis from the 2019 Community and Economic Development Strategy. So I think by January there'll be some action. I've asked the project director to meet with the Borough Council early next year. I think it would be good for everybody to hear directly from Chris what they're doing, what's happened, and where they're going. So we'll schedule that maybe for the public work session or the regular meeting at the beginning of the year. And then finally, just on other projects, we had talked about a rail trail car for the Newville trailhead. We've had some additional conversations with the CVRTC board. I think we're going to have them in maybe to the public meeting in January to begin talking about how we can move forward with that. It's going to be an expensive project. The money's not available right now, but we need to start talking about how we can find a car, what the potential costs of all this are, to begin the planning so that as money becomes available, we're ready to go. So let me stop there and see if there are any questions or comments on that.
Any questions for Jack?
The funds that you're seeking, would any of it could be used by people who do not have access to sufficient money to fix their sidewalk, which is a safety issue, but also would be nice for the community? Or is that far-fetched?
That has not been discussed. I mean, I think it's, I suppose it's a possibility, but I think the EDA board has to decide where they want their priorities to be at this point. So,
Understand.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you, Mr. Sinkovich, Recreation.
I have nothing on the recreation, but I've been down to the park lately, looking at some of the benches, and there's about an 18 to 20 foot bench. It runs along the first base line that the wood is rotted on it. There's 7 2x4s, about 18 feet long, I think, and they're all rotted out. They should be replaced. And then on the bleachers on the third base side behind the foul line, the top boards are rotted out. Well, behind the backstop. So they should be replaced too. Just something for Fred. I'll get with Fred on that.
Okay. Any questions, Fred?
No, but I have something that the summer program, the Fridays in the Park that, Chris Failer's church runs. I just want to let you know that last night at my church council meeting, we agreed to donate $500 to his program for food for their lunches in the summer.
Great.
So, that'll be a help to them.
Very good. All right, Mrs. Deal, quality of life.
Okay. The wreath sale was quite a hit, actually. we did get rid of all 50 of our wreaths. And with that being said, once we paid back the monies that we used from the Newville area events to purchase the wreaths, we'll have $250 to give to Neighbors in Christ and $250 to give to the Big Spring Area Food Bank, which I was really pleased with. The wreaths were beautiful. I know the ones that I sold to people, you know, they're all hoping that we do it again next year because they were really pleased, you know, with how they look.
Yeah, they were really great. I mean, we never had wreaths that good. I mean, they're
Yeah.
really, really terrific. Where did they come from?
It used to be the former Conifer Tree Farms. I'm not exactly sure. Fred talked to the lady out there and ordered them for me, but they were definitely beautiful. And people were saying you could get more than, you know, $22 for those wreaths. So it's definitely something that we're going to look to do again next year. The other thing is this Saturday is the coat drive. I have over 100 brand new coats that have been purchased for the kids. I do have some new and gently used coats, basically for adults. And it's going to be down at Zion. At our church council meeting last night, we did talk a little bit about people coming into the church. And I think what we're going to do is meet the people, ask them what size and gender they need, and just have some runners to go in, get the coats, put them in a bag, and take them back out to their vehicles. So there's not a bunch of people coming into the church because of COVID. You know, I was a little upset when they talked about that last night, but I also understand. I still do have about $120 that I need to go and purchase a few more coats with. And I think it's going to be, you know, a big success. And I thank everybody who has donated monies to purchase coats, who've donated the coats. It is a well worthwhile project. I had another church that has made some hats and scarves to give out on Saturday also. So, you know, it's really been a very big community event. And I'm looking forward to Saturday. And I think that's all I have at this point.
Joey, I just got a text message asking if you're still taking coats.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I'll take coats up till Saturday morning if somebody wants to bring them.
I will tell them.
And also Erica Miller, who husband owns Frog, whatever. I'm sorry, I don't remember the last name of it, but she's washed all of the used coats.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's, you know, that was a big, big help to me. So, you know, it, like I said, it's been a community event.
I have some donations in envelopes in
Okay.
cash form. Could I give them to you and you can give them to the kids as they come in?
Sure. Sure.
And also, I was just wondering, wreaths were being sold at Sailor's Market for, I don't remember exactly, $18 or $19 each.
Right.
That would be another way of marketing or selling wreaths for the benefit of the community. I'm sure that Mr. Sailor wouldn't mind if, you know.
Well, I think they're probably selling them those through the flower shop that they have there.
Yeah. Well, we might look into that also.
Right.
Just a
Right.
suggestion. Yeah.
Right.
I'll see you Saturday morning by 9 o'clock.
Okay.
I'll pass those
Okay.
on. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Joey, it has down to review the bid tabulations.
Oh, that's right.
Rental.
I forgot that. I was so excited about my other stuff. I think that Fred did kind of get over that in his earlier report, but I don't have I'm sorry, I don't have that paper with the bids on it. I apologize.
If you just make a motion to accept those bids that are highlighted in yellow that would be sufficient.
Thank you, Fred. Okay, do I have a motion that we accept the bids for the emergency snow removal equipment?
You just made that
I just
motion,
made
Joey.
it. Yes, I did. Hey, you know what? It's been a very long day. It's my husband's
understand.
birthday. I had 8 kids here just during this meeting.
All right, so I think Bob seconded it. So any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, anything else for Joey? All right, thank you. Administration Committee, Mr. Crouch.
Start off by, just want to thank our borough staff, Fred and Lindsay and the other members of the crew for getting us through another year and keeping everything operating very well in the borough. As far as things to address, I don't have, I just was checking, I somehow don't have the proposal here from Martin & Martin for the preparation of the bid document. So I'm going to ask Fred to kind of just go over that a little bit.
The proposal is in the amount of $4,500. It will include preparation of specifications to go to bid for improvements to Parsonage Street, which will include crosswalks, ADA ramps, storm drainage improvements, and resurfacing. And the price is $4,500. That is the same price that he charged to do everything on North Corporation Street. So.
All right, so we're looking for a motion to approve $4,500 for bid documents related to Parsonage Street resurfacing, storm draining, ADA ramps, and this is all funded by the 2021 CDBG grant in the amount of $102,381.
I'll make the motion.
Oh, go ahead.
All right, it's been moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, we have a couple other items. Well, citizen comment period. Let's not skip over this here. I don't think there's anything on YouTube. I've got nothing on my end. Do you have anything, Fred?
Nothing here.
Okay, any correspondence?
Correspondence, just one quick item. You have a thank you letter received from the Big Spring Senior Center from Kathy Graver, thanking council for the $500 annual excuse me, donation. That's all the correspondence.
All right. Under old business, any other I have none. No old business. Okay, under other new business, we're looking for a motion to award the milling contract to Yoast Power Equipment and Landscaping for 2021.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Do we have any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next one, we're looking for a motion to approve the authorization of to seek RFPs for computer phone generator and communication systems for the potential municipal building project.
So moved.
It's been moved, and did I hear a second there?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. I believe we also need to handle the Ship Daddy occupancy permit. Is that correct? So we are looking for a motion to approve the occupancy permit between the Newville Borough and Ship Daddy.
So moved.
It's been moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Been seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Any other new business?
Got the application for COVID-19 block grant funds. $65,000 would be the application.
Yeah, I had that in here. Where did I write it? Yeah, we're looking for a motion to seek permission to apply for the block grant funds in the amount of $65,000. And this is for, this would be for the upgrades to a municipal building project.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Any other new business? Okay. Anything else? Go ahead, Todd.
I just had one thing to mention. Anybody know anybody looking for some food for this time of year? We were invited by Carlisle PD to participate in a food giveaway. They have 1,800 cases of food coming in on December 21st. I think we're getting 2 skids, which are, I think, 100 boxes. From what I know, it's going to be the staples, eggs, milk, some sausage, and some other things inside the boxes. Like I said, next Monday, December 21st, probably about 11 a.m., we're going to be ready. Project Share is going to drop our food off. It's going to be available out in front of the station. Anybody that wants to come and wants a box, pull up, blow the horn, knock on the door if nobody's out there, and we'll come out and load you up.
Okay. Probably make sure we get that on social media. I think you guys have had it on once.
We have it on our Facebook page. I don't know if it's on the boroughs or not.
Yeah, we probably should get that on.
No, I can share it on there. I can share it on the boroughs page.
The other person that can help with that is Shani Shank, with the food bank. Now that's Food Bank Day, but
Well, Food Bank Day is the 23rd from what I saw online. And I actually wanted to contact them just in case we have any leftovers. That was kind of my intent to take those down there. So if you can hook me up with a contact there, I'd appreciate it.
Okay. I was thinking they were always on Mondays, but maybe I'm.
I looked online and it said the 23rd, but I could be wrong.
Fred, do you know?
Yes, John Wardle at the Penn Township Fire Company Chief. He's been handling, John and I have been working with Shani, and he'll work out the logistics and we'll get trucks to make that happen.
Okay, thank you.
It's wonderful.
Anything else? Well, we got a couple big days ahead of us between snowfall and then the 19th, Santa coming through town. I know that a lot of people around town are excited about that. And you guys took care of a lot of business tonight. Two very big things. One being Ship Daddy, and then the other one, the start of the petition for the liquor license. So those are quite the accomplishment for a December meeting. So very good. If we don't see you before, have a great holiday. Rest up. If you need help, if you're bored and want to help shovel, I have a corner lot. I'm more than happy to accept donations of labor. So anybody else?
I like that,
kidding?
Scott.
You also have 2 kids.
Yeah.
I don't expect to see you out there anyhow.
Yeah, well. All right.
Stay
I'm
safe.
waiting on you guys.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas,
Merry
everybody.
Merry Christmas. Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
All right, have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.